How would you have reacted if one day you hear what sounds like someone punching at your front door? You go to answer it, and military soldiers are forcing you and your family out of your home. And all they say to you is, it's just a precaution. You'll be allowed to return home in 3 days. But you never return. This is what happened to those unfortunate enough to live a little too close to what, in my opinion, was the worst man-made disaster in human history. I'm talking about Chernobyl. On April the 26th, in the year 1986, at approximately 1:23 AM, mankind had what's deemed now as the worst nuclear disaster in history, but nuclear disaster seems a little too particular to me. This was the worst disaster mankind has ever caused, and could have led to the destruction of the entire planet. Let me explain why. Why not like the video and subscribe to 99% Chaos to hear about future videos where I look into the worst case scenarios in history and share with you all some interesting near misses mankind had to extinction. The incredibly destructive force of nuclear reactor 4 of the Chernobyl power plant killed 3 people instantly. A further estimated amount of over 3,000 people killed in the following year due to intense radiation. An exact number of the total estimated people globally affected by this incident is still up for debate, but many theories and studies suggest that every single living human being on the planet was affected, whether it changed your life or further across the globe, a small impact which went unnoticed. In 1986, the Cold War was still going on. This is one of the many reasons the Soviet Union tried to hide this devastation from other countries, in the hopes they could contain and fix the problem before it was deemed a problem for the world to notice. Outside the Soviet Union, the people to first find out about the accident was Sweden, almost 3 days after the event, reporting a dangerously high amount of radiation in their air. America and other countries then followed this information by pointing satellites at what is now known as northern Ukraine. But for almost 2 days, the people working in the nuclear power station themselves at the time didn't even know the full extent of the problem. The explosion was caused by multiple contributing factors, which included undertrained workers, bad management, and a design fault with the wrong materials used to build the reactor core. Thousands of people died, men, women, and children. The worst hit was the nearby town Pripyat. I hugely recommend watching the TV series Chernobyl on HBO or Amazon Prime if you're in the UK. A recreation with perfect acting and facts along with an incredibly detailed story of the event. So now I have caught you all up, I want to explain why this is something we need to recognise as one of the closest near misses humanity has had to global extinction. Valery Legasov was the scientist who saved the world. He guided officials, halted the bursting radiation, guided the cleanup, but if he didn't, I'm about to theorise with you all what could have happened. Reactor 4 is burning, and its core has exploded. The radiation is bursting out into the atmosphere at 5.6 roentgens per second, which is the equivalent of today's full body X-ray of over 600 times. That's 600 full body X-rays a second. Over 20,000 roentgens were being released per hour by the core into the atmosphere. That's 2.4 million full body X-rays an hour bursting into the atmosphere, every hour. So if no action was taken to stop this core from gushing out this much radiation, there's not really a known amount of time as to how long this would have happened for. It's generally agreed that after an unknown amount of time without attention, the core would eventually start to melt, starting the meltdown of the power plant. In time, this would create lava, but not lava you see coming from deep inside the earth. No, this lava is much, much worse. For an example, a small ball of lava from a volcano would just sit there. But you could stand close enough to get a pretty picture. However, radioactive lava would be sending out so much radiation, a single bowling ball amount could kill the entire population of New York City in less than a year just by sitting in the middle of the city. So the meltdown has begun. After what could take months of burning and radiation exploding into the atmosphere, all of Europe will have to shelter and wear gas masks. Plant life will begin to die, and many would die from radiation. Furthermore, the meltdown would have reached the thermal tanks underneath the melting core. This would have caused a significantly catastrophic thermal explosion of an estimated 2 to 4 megatons. This is enough to flatten roughly 200 square kilometers of land. That's roughly 38,000 football fields. This is devastating enough, but this is just the beginning. The explosion in theory could have then destroyed the other 3 reactor cores on the nuclear power plant. This would then times all of what I have just described to you by 4. In theory, of course. This would reach a global scale. After doing some homework and math, I worked out humanity would not survive further than 10 years on the surface of the planet, nor would most other forms of life. Of course, this is all theory, but that doesn't make it wrong. This is why I believe personally Valery Legasov potentially saved the world. Thanks for watching.